Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
The amount of carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere last year was the highest for more than 800,000 years. The World Meteorological Organization says human activity and the El Niño weather phenomenon caused the dramatic increase, and they're warning the results could make global temperature targets largely unattainable. As Rebecca Morell reports.
Keeping track of our atmosphere. For decades, research stations like this one in the Swiss Alps have been monitoring levels of carbon dioxide. And their latest findings show that the greenhouse gas has hit a new high.
It should be setting off alarm bells throughout the corridors of power around the world. We're talking about 3 parts per million increase, which is the biggest increase we've ever recorded. It's the biggest increase we can find in the geological record for millions of years. It's the fastest increase in 2016.
This record-breaking rise has been driven by both human activities and the El Niño weather phenomenon. Every few years, the Pacific Ocean surface becomes warmer. This causes wind patterns to change and weather is dramatically altered. It's caused droughts, stopping vegetation growing and preventing plants and trees from soaking up carbon dioxide. It's also led to forest fires, which have injected more of the greenhouse gas into the atmosphere. So how significant are today's findings? Over hundreds and thousands of years, carbon dioxide levels have fluctuated. But from 1950s, levels have surged, and today's figures are the highest we've ever recorded. It's leading to unprecedented changes in places like the Arctic, affecting the region's unique wildlife.
A mother walrus still needs to find a place where her young can rest.
Increases in carbon dioxide are causing temperatures to rise, and the ice is melting faster than the animals can adapt. In 2015, the world agreed to big cuts in greenhouse gas emissions to limit warming. But experts say today's figures should prompt a renewed sense of urgency.
There's hope, but we have to change our behavior in the coming 10 to 20 years to be successful in this mitigation effort. And so far we haven't been ambitious enough.
The issue is that carbon dioxide lingers for hundreds of years. This will be the focus of international climate talks next week. So will the announcement that America plans to withdraw from the current climate agreement. Finding a solution now may be more difficult to achieve. Rebecca Morell, BBC News.
Now, you might have thought, after all the climate change agreements we've reported over the years, that levels of greenhouse gases in the world would be stabilising, even falling. But no, in fact, figures just out for last year show that concentrations of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere in 2016 were higher than they have been, believe it or not, 800,000 years.
Around the world, often at the very top of the world, there are monitoring stations measuring the level of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere.
So here you can see from the daytime we go up to quite high levels in the night.
What they're telling us is alarming. This graph shows spikes in the level of CO2 over London. Around the planet, carbon dioxide levels have increased at an unprecedented rate.
It's the strongest rate of increase that we've ever observed since ice core records began. And over this period of 2015-2016, we saw a very rapid increase in CO2 concentration.
Researchers measuring CO2 in the atmosphere have recorded an almost consistent rise since the middle of the 20th century. But the current rate of increase is breaking all records. Last year's rise being 50% bigger than the average for the previous decade. To blame, man-made factors like the emissions from burning fossil fuels, as well as deforestation. But scientists also blame El Niño weather conditions for cutting CO2 absorption by plants and trees. With increased temperatures causing drought and huge fires, the trees and plants that would normally remove CO2 from the atmosphere perish. But the emphasis is on man's negative impact on the planet. 2 years ago in Paris, international delegates congratulated themselves after agreeing targets to reduce emissions. The next climate conference convenes in Bonn next week, with America already threatening to pull out Campaigners say those Paris targets will have to be reassessed.
I think we now need to see all countries going back and thinking, did we miss something? Is there more that we could do? Can we up our ambition? Can we go further? Because what's clear is that we are not making progress.
Far from countering global warming and the melting of the ice caps, the body that measures the planet's health says we're actually moving in the wrong direction. Paul Davis, News at 10.